So in this video, this is going to be the second stage. So the first stage is to get your clay centered, to have the clay a little wider than it is tall, and to have the sides straight. Once you get to that point, you're ready to put the hole in the middle. Now, when you're putting the hole in the middle, if you have long nails, you might end up using a tool to put the hole in the middle. That would be something that's rounded on the bottom side. And if your long nails get in the way, you can use a tool at like a 45-degree angle, and you push down and in, and the hole will go in the middle. You could also, if you have long nails, take the sponge, wrap it around your nail, and push down onto the inside with the sponge over your nail. Depending on how long your nails are, that could work too. Okay, but the principle, if I'm using just my thumb or my index finger, the principles of putting the hole into the middle, what we call sinking the well, is the same. What I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to put the hole directly into the center with my finger, because that will make my finger start wobbling and it'll be off center. I want to have a very similar position to when I'm centering, except that I want to have one thumb or two thumbs, whichever one you prefer. I'm left-handed, so I use my left. And I want this to be about a 45-degree angle as it pushes into the clay. The tip of my finger is going to go into the very middle, and then it's going to push down from the very tip, but the side of my finger is also pushing, and that helps me create a wider hole. And this is makes it very easy for me to see how deep I'm going, and it also helps me keep my clay on center. It's almost like centering the clay from the inside. Okay, my elbow is against my body. I'm anchored. My elbows aren't floating out in space. I have to have my body in the same position as when I'm centering so that my fingers don't wobble. Once I think the bottom is about a ½ inch, which is what I think about this is now, I'm going to stop the pottery wheel, grab my pin tool, stick the pin tool into the clay all the way down to the bat, put my finger at the end, and I'm going to pull it out. And I'm going to see how thick the clay, see how thick the bottom is. The distance between my finger and the tip of the pin tool is how thick the bottom is. So, measure it. The bottom is here. This is about a ½ inch thick. I want my bottom to be somewhere between a ½ inch and a ¼ inch, so half that. So I'm going to make my bottom this go a little deeper. You always want to measure this when you know it's too thick so that you can thin it down. If you go too far, when you go to cut it off the wheel with a wire tool, there'll be a hole in the bottom of your pot. So I'm going to go down a little further. Use my thumb to push down a little bit more. Slowly let go. And now I can check it again. And I can see the bottom is about a ¼ inch, maybe a little more thick, and that's perfect for what I want. Okay. After you sink the hole, you can see in here, the hole is at like a point in the bottom. So it's wider up here, and it gets narrower, narrower, narrower towards the bottom. The next step is to widen the bottom flat. So I can use my index finger if I want. But I'm going to hook it like a C, or like a little hook, and I'm going to slowly pull out because I want this bottom to be a nice flat line. So you can do that with your index finger. You could use your middle finger if you want, or you could use your thumb. Your thumb is here, and you can curl your thumb back and pull back with your thumb. Any of those hand positions work as long as you get the bottom nice and flat. Now I can take my finger and kind of rub it over the bottom and make sure it's nice and flat. If you move too fast, you'll see a spiral. If you move slower, you'll see a more gradual spiral. There's a fast spiral. There's a slow spiral. But my goal is I want to get the bottom at least 3 fingers wide, flat on the bottom. So I need to widen it a little bit more. And now I've got a flat base, about 3 fingers wide, and it's about a ¼ inch to a ½ inch thick on the bottom. And that is the next step after centering, is to get the clay to this stage. One common mistake people make is they just open it up this far and they try to throw it with a very narrow base. You end up usually having too much clay on the bottom, and your cylinder is very thick on the bottom and very thin on top. So we want to make sure that we have a 3-inch wide or a 3-finger wide base, and that would be really good for a standard cylinder.